right, let's jump into this deep dive. Head first into cybersecurity.
Sounds good.
It's a big one, right? It feels like every day there's a new headline
Oh, absolutely.
about some massive data breach or new malware going around.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's safe to say that protecting ourselves online is more important than ever.
I agree.
What are we diving into specifically today? What's the plan for this deep dive?
So we're going to be talking about the 4 most common cyber threats
Okay.
and, and also some practical advice
Practical. Love that.
on how to stay safe online.
Yeah, that's really what we need, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it can be so overwhelming, all this
Listen.
information. Like, where do you even start?
I think that's the biggest thing, right? People hear all this stuff, but they don't know
Yeah.
what to do it.
Exactly. So, all right, let's start with the threats then.
Okay.
Lay it on us. What are we up against?
All right. So phishing attacks.
Okay.
Those are probably most common.
Phishing, I've heard of this.
Yeah.
What is it?
So phishing attacks are basically when hackers send emails or messages
Okay.
that look like they're from a legitimate source.
Like my bank.
Exactly, like your bank or company you do business with.
Wow.
And they try to trick you into giving them personal information.
Oh, so like they say your account has been compromised and you need to click this link to update your password or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Sneaky.
Very sneaky.
So it's not just about having good antivirus software.
Yeah,
It's also about being smart and recognizing these scams.
absolutely. You have to be aware
Yeah.
of what to look for.
Okay, so phishing. What's next?
So next we have malware and ransomware.
Ooh, yeah. I feel like I hear those words thrown around a lot.
Yeah, they're kind of scary ones.
What's the difference between those two?
So malware is kind of a broad term for any kind of malicious software
Okay.
that can infect your computer.
Ah,
It can do all sorts of things like steal your data, spy on you, or even damage your files.
it's terrifying.
Yeah, and then ransomware is a type of malware
Okay.
that specifically locks you out of your computer or your files.
Oh, I've heard about this.
And then it demands a ransom to get them back.
Yeah, it's like they're holding your computer hostage.
Exactly.
And I want you to pay up in Bitcoin or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, often.
So if you get hit with ransomware, do you just have to pay?
It's really tricky.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get your files back without paying,
Okay.
but it depends on the specific type of ransomware and whether there's a decryption key available.
So it's not always a guaranteed fix, even if you do pay.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we've got phishing, malware, ransomware. What's the 4th big threat?
All right, so the 4th one is social engineering.
Social engineering. What's that?
So this is where hackers manipulate people into giving them access to systems or information
Okay.
instead of directly attacking the technology itself.
So it's like a psychological attack.
Exactly, yeah.
How does that work?
Well, for example, they might call you pretending to be from your bank
Oh, yeah.
or from tech support.
And they'll say they need to verify your information or something.
Yeah, or they might try to trick you into downloading malware.
So it's all about tricking people into letting their guard down.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so we've got to be careful who we trust both online and offline.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's 3.
Yeah.
Phishing, malware, ransomware, social engineering.
And then weak passwords and data breaches.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah,
I feel like every other week there's news of another company getting hacked
it's constantly happening.
and millions of passwords being stolen.
And people reuse passwords. So
Yeah, yeah.
even if it's not,
Yeah,
the website that you use all the time,
right.
if you reuse that password for something else and that other website has a breach, then that password is compromised.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction.
Yeah.
So using strong, unique passwords for every account is crucial.
Absolutely, and it's so important.
Okay, so we've covered the 4 big threats.
Yeah,
Now let's talk about solutions.
let's do it.
What can we actually do to protect ourselves?
All right, so starting with passwords,
Okay.
like we said, strong, unique passwords for every account.
Yeah.
And a password manager can really help with this.
Password manager. Okay, tell me more about those.
So a password manager is basically a program that stores all your passwords securely. So you only have to remember one master password.
It generates those crazy complex passwords for you.
Exactly. So you don't have to try to come up with them yourself.
Oh, that sounds pretty handy.
Yeah, it really helps simplify things.
All right, what else can we do?
Another really important one is two-factor authentication.
2-factor authentication. I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's often shortened to 2FA.
2FA. Okay, so remind me how that works again.
So basically it adds an extra layer of security on top of your password. So even if someone steals your password, they can't get into your account unless they also have access to your second factor.
Like a code sent to your phone.
Exactly, or a fingerprint scan.
Okay, so it's like having two locks on your door.
Exactly.
I can see how that would make a big difference.
Yeah, it really helps protect your accounts.
All right. What else should we be doing?
Okay, next one's pretty simple.
Okay.
Think before you click.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, be cautious about clicking on links or opening attachments, especially if they're from an unknown sender.
Right, because you never know what could be lurking behind that link.
Right, it could be a phishing attack or malware.
Okay, so always double check the sender, make sure the link looks legit.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Let's see, keep your software updated.
Oh, yeah, that's another one I hear a lot.
Yeah, it's important.
But honestly, sometimes it feels like I'm constantly updating something on my computer or phone.
I know, it can be annoying.
Why is it so important?
Well, when software companies find vulnerabilities in their software, they release updates to patch those holes. And if you don't update your software, you're leaving yourself open to those vulnerabilities.
So it's like leaving a window open in your house.
Basically.
Yeah, okay, I'm starting to see the importance of this.
It's all about layers of protection.
Yeah.
Right. You want to make it as difficult as possible for hackers to get in.
Okay, and how about VPNs? Where do those fit in?
VPNs are great, especially if you're using public Wi-Fi a lot.
A public Wi-Fi, like at a coffee shop or the airport.
Exactly. Those networks aren't always secure.
So anyone could be snooping on my data.
Potentially, yeah.
And a VPN helps prevent that.
Right. It encrypts your internet connection.
Okay.
So even if someone is snooping, they can't see what you're doing.
That makes sense. I guess it's like a digital shield.
Yeah, think of it that way.
Protecting your data as it travels through those public networks.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got strong passwords, 2FA, thinking before we click, keeping our software updated, using a VPN on public Wi-Fi.
That's a great start.
It's a lot to remember.
It is.
But I feel like we've covered some really important stuff today.
Absolutely.
So, to wrap things up, what's one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is that cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
It's not just for tech experts.
Right. We all need to be aware of the threats and take steps to protect ourselves.
Yeah, because our digital lives are so intertwined with our real lives now.
Exactly. And the consequences of a cyber attack can be really serious.
So let's leave our listeners with a little something to think about.
Okay.
What's one small change they can make today to improve their cybersecurity?
I'd say enable 2FA on your most important accounts.
2FA, okay.
Like your email, your bank accounts, your social media.
That's a great one. And it's pretty easy to set up.
Yeah, most services make it pretty straightforward.
Awesome.
And it can make a huge difference.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And remember, stay safe out there in the digital world. We'll see you next time.